10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the rocket pool community. My name is Wack. Today is July 21st, and I'm traveling this weekend, so you won't be able to see my face for today's video, but I'll talk you through everything and you'll be able to see more of the screen, which I know will be nice for all of you. So let's get started with that. We got confirmation of Nexus Mutual converting their ETH into rETH. So a lot of us were talking about how it's very likely that the big cow swap order that we heard about was going to be Nexus Mutual, swapping their 14,140 ETH. I think they actually did 250 before that as a test. I don't think that came up on the whale bot, but then they did another, this second main transaction of 14,140 ETH. So that was really lovely to see. It's really amazing that votes kind of go through, and with those votes we see more and more communities are in the process of diversifying into the rETH token and into Rocket Pool. Now it just makes sense that these protocols do that, because what happens is that this Rocket Pool is the most decentralized, the most open source. There's 3,000 over 3,000 node operators. It just makes sense for treasuries to swap their ETH into rETH, and if not just straight up rETH, then at least oversized allocation compared to other staking tokens, because it's just that much better. It just makes sense, right? So anyway, it's nice to see the culmination of that process finishing up with this swap. Now, a special thanks, of course, will go out to Whisker, who has done a really amazing job with this, getting it to proposal and kind of answering questions and getting it through. So really, really great job. So congratulations, and it's really nice that this has happened, and I really hope that other treasuries are going to start following this along. Okay, next I want to spend a little while talking about the tokenomics discussion. Now, there's a couple of things that I really want to make clear before I talk about some of the things that have been said today. The first thing is that this is an active discussion. This is not a finalized proposal. This is basically just people in the community talking about this change that some people think should happen, some people think that it shouldn't happen, and that basically it's just discussion. The things are changing constantly, and people are clarifying their positions a little bit more, and I think this is going to carry on for the next few weeks, if not longer. And people are being given time to present their cases, present their information, present thoughtful and thought out arguments. I think that we need to kind of be careful with some of the language that we're using. Now here there's this tweet from Kenny, and Kenny says, "I respectfully signal that I do not support this change. I'm a node operator since November 21. I'm not on board with slashing the rewards for those most willing to acquire and stake the RPL token. The downside far outweighs the improvements from this, in my opinion. In fairness, I am of the pool that would be penalized. I have max staked RPL, and then some. The proposal would likely succeed in shifting RPL speculation into ETH staking and grow our ETH capacity, but I don't see that benefit exceeding the losses from whale node operators defecting." Now, the reason why I mentioned this tweet specifically is in response to the one that Evan put out yesterday that I read out on the show. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting this is because I really wish this discussion is taking place in a really active way. So like I love Kenny, like, and I met in person, like, you know, I think of Kenny as a friend. Now I really wish that Kenny will bring this opinion into the Discord thread that's going on, or like engage in an active discussion about what he thinks is the better way to do this, what he thinks is like what changes should and shouldn't be made, and why that is the case. And you know, I think that it'll be really great if those kind of conversations can happen. So maybe that would be something really great to see. One of the things that we saw today was Wanda, who's, you know, a really prominent community member, and Ken, of course, who is a computational scientist, and sorry, not a computational scientist, I'm sorry, is a rocket scientist, and you know, part of the oDAO through the rocket scientists. He runs the oDAO node. Ken and Wanda got together and kind of put this like they're calling it a summary of the proposals. So here, you know, they say, I believe Wanda here says, I believe mine and Ken's proposals to be more along the lines of thought experiments than true proposals, but I'll still note them here for the sake of completeness. In response to Val's renewal of this discussion, Ken first suggested that if LEBA incentivization is the goal, we should focus on it directly by reducing 16 pool rewards and minimizing other effects. He suggested keeping the RPL rewards ranges and locks the same for now, which is less disruptive. Broadly, I feel this is a much more reasonable step than either of the prior proposals, because it would help us understand the effects of incentive changes before potentially pursuing further adjustments. However, it's still a philosophical departure from the prior changes and contains the same risks of user alienation and forgoes any benefits to tokenomic stability. As a slight twist to Ken's idea, I propose using a carrot instead of a stick, i.e. the same economic model, but using positive psychology via increased incentives to LEB 8 pools without increasing incentives to 16 ETH pools. This could be paid for by increasing inflation or reallocating from the oDAO/PDAO. So here there's information on Wanda's current stance, which you know, you can go ahead and read with on this page. And it starts off by kind of giving a summary of Noshua's proposal and Valdov's proposal, and some of the information therein. There was some controversy about this post, and I'm going to go on and discuss that. So I'm not going to go through the whole details of all of it, but what I will say is I will read out some of those criticisms. So here, you know, Wanda posted the information in the Discord channel for the discussion that's going on, and he says these are some of the notes in the current discussion. Much of my research is ongoing, but I'm trying to summarize things so far for future reference. If I'm missing anything brought up so far, please reach out. So this kind of led to a whole bunch of discussion going on about like, you know, here Sadka said this proposal presumes RPL to be an asset valued purely on existing utility, not a token that will receive new utility over time. He says, how does this, you know, I don't understand how the proposal relates to this. And then there was other feedback here from Sadkas as well, who talked about it. Noshua himself said this is extremely biased and you really shouldn't call it a summary. Totally fine to disagree and present your point of view, of course. David the Six says, I kind of disagree with the never change anything Linus attribution in this case. I also don't think the core argument for this proposal is that it will raise RPL price. The proposed changes are meant to incentivize mini pool deployment rather than just making RPL value go up directly. If you consider that Linux and ETH both have been making changes towards propping up their central purposes, this fits. I'm going to skip ahead to Valdov's comments here, saying if you're writing an opinion piece, don't frame it as reporting on both sides. It's disingenuous. Proponents maintain and proponents suggest caveating on the pro side, scare quotes on more efficient inflation. Meanwhile, on the con side, things are presented as fact. There is no indication that current tokenomics are miscalibrated, etc. Have an opinion by all means, but don't claim neutrality while doing it. This is a summary, a decent if opinionated one, so I'm not going to address the majority of points in it since they've definitely come up before. I do appreciate the energy put into making a write-up. Now, Valdo says, in defense of Wanda, I think links are appropriate for long-term content. Oh, that's Ludu saying like, dropping a link instead of actual discussion. Yeah, Wonder here then came back and said, I've never claimed neutrality. These are my personal notes that I'm sharing. I would like to document all sides of this, so please tell me if I'm missing something. And of course, you are under no responsibility to respond to every post. And then Wanda says, regarding more efficient inflation, and these are your words exactly, if I recall correctly. Would you prefer me to use different language and remove the quotes? I didn't intend them to be scary, just an indication that it was the exact quote. To be fair, I use quotes a lot. Waldo says you could probably do something like, with a stated goal of pursuing more efficient inflation, to move away from the scare quotes interpretation. So anyway, this discussion has been going on. In fact, so much so that Waldorf has been posting some updates as well to his thoughts that he shared. He said, let me summarize the changes for folks. The time lock for unwithdrawing RPL is in. Seemed nobody was anti, and there were a fair number of pro for the controlled friction. Removed the proposed versus Nashua section. I don't think it's been referenced even once. Updated the rationale section a bit, most notably that 55.2% of rewards are spent on RPL staked beyond the 30% P-ETH mark. Note that this represents more than twice the total oDAO spend we had before the recent changes. Swapped out the main model entirely. New model looks first at which subset of node operators might change. Old model is still there, actually with improvements on the comparisons in current and proposed systems, but now a separate document. It seemed like a old model wasn't that useful to folks. Please chime in if you found it useful. I'm missing it, but I saw most references to it coming from myself, which is a good sign I'm failing to communicate well. Conclusions include an attempt at both expectation and bounds on rational sell-off. Added a small liquid RPL trends section. This is more of a sanity check than anything. As ever, the code for all of it is there. Please feel more than free to try it, tweak it, etc. I've gotten useful review correction multiple times already and really appreciate it. Okay, so we already just read that. And then Val here as well said, yeah, I 100% understand and sympathize with the... Oh, this is actually a really nice comment here by Mig, who kind of talked about how bonds can change and how you can kind of get stuck in a position that is then like a loss-making position. So he says, if sold 80k in loss, don't even think to switch to the 20% bond. The issue is questionable after doing this mess and could do another. At the end of this thought is to sell all at market price or under. And he says, real life, real loss pain. You can go and read all the comment. It's a nice little comment, and yeah, it's nice for him to share that story. He says, something similar happened to me, and I hope that, and I think I will not go this way, but I really understand the feeling of who would fear something like this. Sorry for the long post, I'm emotional tonight. And Val says, I 100% understand and sympathize with the fear of value loss. Lots of people have important to them amounts of money here. I think everyone here is on the same side and wants to do what is best for Rocket Pool and RPL, and though we may disagree on what this is. And I think this kind of like comes down to the crux of the argument, and I kind of agree here with Waldorf quite a lot, is like we really need to think that everyone is acting in good faith. Prominent community members are like putting themselves out there, like really well respected community members, like we have Val and Nashua, Wanda, Ken. These people are like very, very well respected people in the Rocket Pool community, and they've never presented themselves in a way to talk about in a way that is shown to go against the Rocket Pool community. Like they've always done what they can to push that ahead and push that further. So we need to understand that these people are coming from good faith positions, and other people might say or do things that they their tone might be what we don't agree with, or how they present the information might not be what they agree with. But I think that as long as we are all if we're all coming to this discussion in good faith, then I think that will be what's most valuable for everyone. And I really wish that people came and engaged in this thread as much as possible. Like if they feel that is something that they can do, I think that would be best for everyone. And that, I think, in this stage right now, like it would be so great if we could kind of hash it out amongst ourselves in the community. So when it came to the actual vote, we kind of already knew how we wanted things to go before it happened. And a really great example of this, right, is very recent, is the oDAO vote that we just did, like the reform for the oDAO. Now, the community kind of banded together, and they were giving the oDAO 90% cut basically in their income, and the oDAO, like, unanimously, all 18 of them voted in favor of that. So the reason why that happened is because there was a good faith discussion going on from all sides, and people made arguments that were persuasive, and that was adopted, right, like by everyone before it went to vote. So when the matter actually did go to vote, like, the community was all aligned and we were able to get the vote through. And I think that is something that could definitely happen in this situation as well, where if people came to the discussion in good faith and we all kind of like presented our cases and our opinions and our thoughts in like a really, like, like, we're showing humility, like showing that we are willing to have our positions heard, and we're willing to change our positions if we get good evidence, and like with that mentality, right, of being open, I think that we can really prevent a really bruising vote, like, and the p-ETH and ETH vote was a really bruising vote. It was like one of the darkest times that I've experienced in the Rocket Pool community, and I really wish that we can avoid that again. Now, I need to be careful with how I report on this whole matter, because I'm trying to be neutral, and I'm trying not to put my own opinion in here, and I'm trying to give balance to the different sides of the argument. So if you feel like I'm giving more airtime to one side of the argument or another side of the argument, then please reach out to me. Like, I'm always willing to listen to suggestions, and trying my best here to present information in the most balanced way possible, and I really hope that we can all work together. I hope that I'm not being too naive in saying that we can do that, because the oDAO vote literally just went through with everyone working together, right? And I really think that this could be one of those situations as well. So yeah, please come into Discord, follow the links in the description below if you want to come and share your ideas. Come share your ideas, share your opinions, and try to engage in a good faith discussion. And I really hope that we can do that. So anyway, that was a huge rant on my part. Sorry about that, but I really hope that I can kind of share my thoughts about the whole matter, like, not specifically of where I stand on the proposals themselves, but what my like meta philosophy is about this process. Okay, let's move on from that. So we were just talking about the oDAO charter. So here Langus had a new governance update. So he says, here's a quick governance update. The pDAO charter vote passed. So it was 99.7% for, and 174% of the quorum was reached. And the Rocket Pool now has a public and a formal pDAO charter, which you can read here. And then there's a link to the GitHub. There's an oDAO charter. The oDAO charter vote succeeded with 18 out of 18 oDAO members voting for this to happen. And the oDAO charter as well, as you can read it in the GitHub link in the post. And then Langus goes on to say the oDAO charter has also been ratified by the pDAO, and that was just the signaling, 93.17% for. And then the main change that came on the back of that was the inflation and pDAO budget allocation. So changes to the inflation have been ratified by the pDAO, 99.16% for, and 176% of quorum was reached. It says this immediately reduces the oDAO payments from 15% of inflation to 8%, and sets a schedule to reduce it to 1.5% over time, which is over the next year. And it says the core team is preparing to execute these changes on mainnet as soon as possible. Please be aware that these changes are executed by the pDAO guardianship and not by the oDAO governance process. So we've covered this a few times recently about the team having control of some of the parameters for the protocol. So they'll be using that to change those parameters and like the oDAO inflation according to that. This is the core team will apply these changes to Goalie next week for targeting mainnet early the following week, before the next rewards tree generation. So that's when their the oDAO's rewards will be immediately reduced nearly by half. And of course, this will eventually change with the system that Kane has been talking about for on-chain voting. That will remove this PDAO guardianship. Okay, so moving forward now, there's a new vote that's coming up on a snapshot, and this is the vote for the GMC updates. So here Langus says a new vote is up for the changes to the GMC process, and then there's a link to the vote. It says please participate and have your say heard. Many thanks, Rocket Pool. So now let's have a look at the vote here. So it says updating of Grants Management Committee, RPIP 26. The changes eliminate the retrospective award cap, award cycle updated from quarterly to monthly, and established a part-time GMC administrator position. It says please read the full RPIP here, and you can read discussions around this in the forum thread. So far this has already had 3,300 votes, and 98.96% of people are in favor of this proposal. And then we have 22 votes against it, and 13 votes have abstained. So quorum is 5,500 votes. So we are already at around I want to say around 66% of just under 66% of quorum. Now I voted for this. Here you can see my vote. I said this is a crucial vote for the GMC to be able to act in a way that is much closer to the expectations of the community has of its operation. And then Joe as well made a comment voting for it. He says these changes are very, very welcome by the GMC to make awards more efficient. Disclaimer, I am a GMC member and pushed for these. And of course, my disclaimer, I should have added that, I guess, is that I'm also a GMC member and I also pushed for these changes. So yeah, this is actually really welcome, and I'm hoping that this will pass in the coming days, and this will really, really help the GMC work with the community in making sure that we are getting the right rewards accepted, and also in the right amounts for the community members. So that would be I think something really great to look forward to. Okay, next we have this really interesting tweet that came from Spot on Chain. They say that Consensys sold 15,350 RPL for 477,940 USDC at $31.14 6.5 hours ago. They claimed these RPL from Oracle DAO rewards from December 21 to July 1st, 23, and sold all just now as the price fell over the past week. RPL price is further down 6% post sales. So if you have a look at the sales, you can see this screenshot, and it shows that the price has kind of been trending downwards, but as Consensys sold, like it really hit the price down, and then it went down to like the $30 range, and slowly it's been kind of like trending up since then. And then here you've got a screenshot from CoinGecko, and that's showing that the price has gone down significantly recently, and that's over the last over the last week. So it's been a really bad week. Yeah, but this is just showing that the Consensys, of course, who are oDAO member, have been not doing anything with their rewards up to now, and then now what they've done is sold their rewards. So Al here shared this tweet in trading, and people kind of responded to this. So Dibsy here says, so they got paid for their services, it's no biggie. So of course, as an oDAO member, they were getting paid in the RPL inflation, and it's their prerogative, right, whether they want to sell that, keep that, if they want to stake it. Like we don't really have a say in that. And then here Valdov says essentially the least possible too. So what happened is, if they had sold it at $65 that hit an all-time high, then they were getting paid double basically what they got paid now, which is $31 per RPL, like 450k. They could have sold it for $1 million basically. So this is the least they could have possibly gotten paid. And Bosi said, couldn't they do it in a way that doesn't shit the active participants of the protocol? And then I think and then Senor says, totally surprised that they held the whole time too. And Waldorf says, you don't understand. We don't like it if they sell, and also don't like it if they hold and then sell. So I guess the idea is, that you just don't like it when anyone sells, basically. And that's, I think, a fair that's not fair that we think that. I think it's fair for people to sell when they want. It's just kind of like annoying that they sell and kind of bring on the bottom. But I really do think that, well, I'm not jinxing anything, I'm not saying anything, but it feels, if here people are saying Jesus, where's the bottom, debating selling my bag at this point. So I think this is I think this is capitulation, and yeah, so I don't know about whether it is or not. It's just the sentiment and like all of the feeling. I really feel like this feels like the bottom, but of course we never know for sure. But yeah, Consensys sold. The chart's looking like it's made a small recovery since then. We really need to see like some sustained recovery before we can say that we've seen the bottom. But that's of course not to say that if Bitcoin or Ethereum now move down, then we'll of course go further down as well. But the bottom that we saw in the ratio was 0.0155. So let's see if we go above or below that in the days and weeks to come. Okay, next, Marko Barko here had like a nice little moment to celebrate because he got a block with 10 ETH in the MEV reward and tips, which is pretty nice. So congratulations, Marko Barko, on getting a lottery block. Of course, it really helps to play the lottery when you've got 1,500 validators running. I think it might even be more than that now, but yeah, 1,500 validators running. So it kind of makes it winning the lottery a little bit easier. But 10 ETH is not too shabby. It's pretty nice. Good job. Okay, next we had this tweet from Jasper, who shared saying that there's some price manipulation going on. Let's actually go have a look at the tweet itself because there's a bit more information that we can see. So here we have a tweet from PC Aversakio. I'm so sorry, I know that I'm totally butchering that pronunciation, but it says there's price manipulation going on, and that's in reply to a different tweet saying another flash loan based attack. So like people were kind of attacking, it looks like they were attacking the Curve protocol here, and there was some issues with like flash loan attacks, basically, where there was some kind of exploit here. So there was a whole bunch of different ways that this attack was happening. Now, I'll be honest, I don't fully understand what it was, but here you can see that there's something with the rETH. Basically, there was some manipulation going on here with the rETH bit here, like people who and look here, it says that it seems like the rETH total supply is re-entered. Now I'm not sure what that means, but I hope it's not too bad for you. So sorry if you had some money in there. I don't know what it's going to mean for you. So yeah. Okay, moving on, we've got this little discussion from Jasper, and I want to talk about this Nakamoto Lisk.eth comment, so we're going to get to that in a second. But here Jasper said the RPL token is now available on Aave. So this is a tweet from a couple of days ago. For the first time, you can run Rocket Pool validators without exposure to RPL, and you can do so in a capital efficient way by borrowing against rETH. Now there's this idea from a few people where this means that it's going to lower the demand for RPL. So here look, Manpreet Singh says, isn't this reducing demand for RPL? This seems negative. Jasper says someone still has to take the risk of RPL. If you borrow it, you forego the upside while the lender reaps the benefit. If RPL price crashes, the lender eats the cost. Someone still has to buy and own RPL though. And here's the thing that I really wanted to highlight for you all. Nakamoto Lisk.eth says it's sending RPL protocol price performance risk to a speculator who buys and lends RPL on Aave, while the person running the node only holds the slashing risk of the validator and is unexposed to the RPL price if they run their node properly. This is one of the first legitimate uses of DeFi. And then they go on to explain, it says Rocket Pool and Aave have found an actual legitimate use for DeFi, splitting the idiosyncratic slashing risk from broad price exposure to the RPL token. It's refreshing to see something in crypto actually working properly. Now, this is actually the kind of sentiment that I've been sharing as well on Rocket Fuel by saying that this is actually a really good use case for people who want to stake with Rocket Pool, but for whatever reason they don't want exposure to RPL. Now they can get benefits of both. So they're giving a use case to RPL token holders who might be not able to stake it for some reason, they don't have enough ETH or whatever reason. Now they can get yield on the RPL, but also like everyone wins basically. Like it's a really nice design. So I really wanted to highlight that because I know that a bunch of people have been talking about why this might cause issues. Okay, next I wanted to talk about this YouTube comment that Pat got on the weekly orbit. So it's by Evelyn, and I mentioned Evelyn on Rocket Fuel a couple of times before because they leave quite thoughtful comments. But here Evelyn says, great episode, a very informative chart and discussion around the big number of node operators that are underwater with their 10% RPL stake. I'm in that group, and the reason not to keep buying more RPL to get above 10% is that observed a predatory pattern by whales and speculators. They effectively wait for node operators to buy RPL, which pushes the price higher, then dump or short unstaked RPL. That pushes the price lower, and 10% RPL stake node operators go below threshold once again. This is a flaw in the RPL tokenomics and it's been brought up a number of times, but I don't see much interest in the team to address this problem that affects a large number of node operators. On top of that, I continue to see public marketing that Rocket Pool offers better staking rewards than solo operators, which is misleading and incorrect. As you pointed out, with the RPL price being so volatile relative to ETH, it may take years before this RPL price of entry ticket is worth the ETH reward gains. Since over 90% of RPL is owned by whales, I can understand why this problem is not being prioritized, but it nevertheless hurts the credibility of Rocket Pool's credibility. I'm not going to comment on that except to say one thing, but I'm going to read out Schifrin's response here, saying the first theory isn't very plausible. Whales would be able to do that maybe a couple of times before it no longer has any effect. I haven't seen any decent data around the price fluctuating around the rewards periods. Not saying that it's not out there, I just haven't seen it. And it says RPL offers, or Rocket Pool offers 43% greater returns on ETH than solo stakers if you already have the RPL. There's a group of new investors in RPL that joined during the Atlas hype, so they are seeing the price dump or correct right away. It's unfortunate the timing for them, but they're generalizing the history of the protocol's tokenomics being inefficient, which isn't the case. With Atlas, we had speculators and users join Rocket Pool. The new users hit a brick wall with the validator queue, and so the sell pressure was extremely strong, and we couldn't keep onboarding new node operators and users to soften the blow. And one of the things I wanted to say here was, I've been here saying that 90% of the RPL is owned by whales. Now, there's a chunk of RPL that is owned by whales, and the team holds like 1.5 million. Thomas holds 1 million. Patricio holds, I think, 3 million or something like that, maybe 4 million. I think it's less than that now, somewhere between 3 and 4 million, I think. But after that, there's a few people who own like a few 100,000 tokens. So the most I would say is like that. At the absolute most is like 10 million RPL is owned by people who hold over 100,000 tokens. I think saying that someone is like a whale below that amount kind of becomes a bit dubious. Like I hold very low 5 digits RPL, and I don't think of myself as a whale, but I don't think that comment is quite fair about how many what percentage of RPL is held by whales. But it seems like there's a tough moment basically for some node operators right now, and as the ratio it will improve, I hope. As the ratio improves, those number of people like below 10% effectiveness and not getting any RPL rewards will change very, very quickly. And I remember like many times in Rocket Pool's history where there literally wasn't a single person, a single node operator who was under 10% collateral. So we just need to wait for those moments again, and I think that, you know, hopefully those moments will be here soon. Okay, I'm going to finish this episode on a slightly different note here. Here we have this tweet saying, I'm sorry to have to say that Consensys case challenging Congress's expansion of Section 6050I of the tax code was dismissed as unripe by the district court. This law takes effect on January 1st, 2024, and will require citizens who are recipients of crypto payments of $10,000 or more to report to the government not just the transaction, but the PII or of the sender as well, all without a warrant. This law will apply to us all in 6 months, so time is of the essence, and we'll be appealing to the Sixth Circuit right away. To learn more, read our original post explaining what's at stake. So then here Jameson says, is unripe some kind of legal jargon? And Chase says, for a claim to be heard, a party must have one standing, two, the matter must be ripe, i.e. current, non-future or hypothetical potential injury. And then here Matthew says, consider a trade on Uniswap for the USDC ETH pair. Do you count each individual liquidity pool provider as a separate person? Presumably you are not doing 10k in volume with any single individual, or do you say that the smart contract is the unincorporated entity? So there's a whole lot of questions here. And then here is CoinCenter's article about the matter that was posted on June 11th, 2022. So this is a matter that's kind of been going for quite a while. I thought I'd bring it all to your attention because, you know, we all participate in DeFi, and the vast majority of us, you know, who are staking at least, have had transactions that are over $10,000. So or movement of funds, even, you know, even from like your node wallet to staking, that I don't know if that would be covered or not, but any kind of transaction would be covered. Now this is definitely something that, you know, we should all be aware of, and try to support CoinCenter in stopping this, because it's going to be really like unrealistic, if not downright impossible, to enforce this at the on the individual level. So let's see if the courts take any more interest when they bring it to appeal as soon as possible, it seems like. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. Sorry for a couple of like ranting moments there. I know that I mentioned a few users by name. Please know that, you know, there's no malice in my mentioning your name, even if I mentioned your name in a way that I kind of disagree with what you're saying. If I did offend anyone, I'm really sorry about that, and that's never been my intention with making these episodes. And if you have any feedback, suggestions, advice, anything like that for me, please drop me a message in the Rocket Fuel thread on Discord, or as a reply to this video, or on Twitter. And I'm always willing to learn and always willing to listen, and you know, try to make Rocket Fuel as good a project as possible for everyone in the community. So if you have any, you know, criticism, any feedback, suggestions, I'm always willing to listen to them. Yeah, I hope you all have a lovely weekend. The next episode for me will likely be on Sunday instead of on Monday, because I will likely be traveling again on Monday, and I probably won't have time to make an episode. So yeah, the cadence is going to be slightly off this weekend, but there's even a small chance that there won't be an episode on Sunday or Monday, but I just give you a heads up about that now. But if not, then I'll be back on Tuesday like normal. But I hope you all are having a wonderful I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.